Yes, I know this took me a while, but I still have some important stuff to say about the OnePlus Nord 2 that I think you shouldn't miss. This is my review.
When you've seen one OnePlus phone, you've seen them all. There are a ton of things that the Nord 2 shares with its bigger brothers in the 9 series. In fact, it's not that easy to tell it apart from a OnePlus 9 without really getting into the details. But I think that's a good thing. Despite being almost half the cost of a OnePlus 9, the experience is just as premium. The frame is plastic, but that's not really noticeable, and that's also true for the OnePlus 9 by the way. You also have the same curved glass back that in this case comes in a matte grey that I think looks pretty sharp. On the side, you of course also have OnePlus's trademark alert slider and good stereo speakers on the top and bottom, something we apparently can take for granted these days as we've seen with the Moto Edge. The Nord 2 also inherits a vibration motor that makes the phone feel a lot more premium than the price would suggest. It's a small thing, but a bad one makes you really contemplate the couple of €100 you just spent. There's no wireless charging or certified water resistance, but at this price that's also not a deal breaker. The screen of the phone is basically the same as last year. It's 90Hz, OLED and comes in at 1080p. At 6.4 inches it's a bit smaller than the display of the OnePlus 9 because of the slightly thicker chin. The phones are exactly the same in size. The screen has great colors and feels really smooth. The difference to 60Hz is definitely a lot more noticeable than the jump up to 120Hz. That's something you won't really miss. That said, the brightness is noticeably lower than on more high-end phones. It was, however, never impossible to see, even if it can get a bit difficult on a really sunny day. Despite the MediaTek chip that was probably chosen as a cost-saving measure, all because Qualcomm can't make enough chips, I have no complaints with the performance. This is the 12 256GB version of the phone, but that should also be true for the 8GB variant. OnePlus phones are really well optimized, and since the skin isn't that heavy, it should also keep feeling fast over time. I won't praise the software too much though, because OxygenOS 11 on the Nord 2 has me a bit concerned about the future of OnePlus's Android skin. This is the first iteration that is built on top of Oppo's ColorOS rather than being its own separate build. And there are definitely some areas where that's noticeable. While the look is still mostly the same, some areas like the share sheet or the different arrangement of settings items give you hints that this is different from what's currently running on the OnePlus 9 series. The camera app also looks a bit more Chinese, let's say. I understand that there are efficiencies to be had when not maintaining two different forks of Android, but from what I've seen, ColorOS and OxygenOS will move even closer together with Android 12. And when OnePlus moves too far away from their past strategy, stock Android with only features added that are genuinely useful and not a different look for the sake of being different, that would cannibalize their main selling point in my eyes. It's true that most consumers don't care about the software skin, but it would turn OnePlus into just another Chinese phone brand, and I hope they don't go that far. This video is supported by Artlist, and that's pretty amazing because I actually already used their service for client projects before they reached out to me, but now I also use it for my own channel. If you're also interested in content creation, then you know how hard it is to find good music that you can also legally use for video. Artlist makes that super easy with straightforward licensing and a curated selection of top-notch music tailored for video creators. No more searching and no more being unsure if you're allowed to use the music. And now they also have a new service called ArtGrid that does the same for stock footage. If you want to try them out, there's a link below. If you use that, you get 2 months free and also support me in the process. The Nord 2 has the same main sensor as what the 9 and 9 Pro use as their ultra-wide sensor, the IMX766. That sensor is almost as capable as their main sensor, so the picture quality from the main camera of the Nord is actually pretty good. The Nord 2 does lose out on the special Hasselblad tuning though, so the pictures aren't quite the same. But dynamic range is strong and you can get sharp and well-lit pictures out of it even in mixed lighting, which usually is the most challenging for cameras. In good light, colors look on point with lots of sharpness. In daylight, this is a really good camera, even if it's not flagship level. In optimal conditions, you also won't notice too much of a difference between the main and the ultra-wide sensor, though that one does overexpose a bit and is significantly less sharp at just 8 megapixels. And in less optimal light, it becomes more of a gimmick, as the pictures lose detail and sharpness quite quickly. It's definitely not even close to comparable to the 9 series here. The night mode is good for the price, at least on the main camera with good detail and color retention, but it can't quite get the really dark spots. Selfies look nice and in my opinion better than on the OnePlus 9, which actually has a worse selfie camera. There's nice bokeh, and as long as you turn off all of the default beautification effects, they also look natural. Video quality at 4K isn't bad, but it's also not on the level of other OnePlus phones, where it's usually among the best around. There is a significant crop and quite a lot of noise, but focusing is fast and stabilization is great. Overall, this camera won't disappoint you for the price, but it's just not a flagship level camera. That said, it's significantly better than a Moto Edge 20 for example, and on a level with an A52 I would say. Battery life on the Nord 2 is just fine from my experience. It definitely gets you through a full day with about 4 hours of screen on time, which is okay but nothing groundbreaking. What is super annoying to me though is that the standby battery usage is really high. The phone loses over 10% overnight, for example. And no, I don't have anything else running on the background that I didn't have on other phones that only lost 2% overnight. And on the Nord 2 you also can't really see what is taking your battery because they removed the graph from the settings menu. Another one of those color-wise annoyances. Fortunately, OnePlus did give the Nord 2 the same 65-watt charging we already know from their other high-end phones. That means that you can get a full charge in under half an hour and charge to almost 20% in just 5 minutes. That's really useful when you're in a hurry, and I'm glad it's here. I think it's interesting though that they included a different brick with a USB-A instead of a USB-C port. I really like the Nord 2 for its price. Most of the experience is the same as what you would get on a 9 series phone. Smooth display, great performance, premium build, a fast fingerprint sensor, 65-watt charging, and so on. The only area where you really notice the difference is in the camera, which definitely isn't even close to as capable. But compared to similarly priced options like a Moto Edge 20 or A52, it doesn't have to hide. The battery drain issues and the software quirks that come with the switch to ColorOS are a bit annoying, but they don't change the fact that for 400 euros you can't really get a better overall package.
If a really good camera is everything you care about, then it might also be worth looking at a Pixel, but apart from that, this user experience is just really hard to beat for 400 euros. It's just super well rounded without any serious flaws. In fact, if you don't take a lot of night shots, you probably won't even notice that this phone doesn't cost twice as much, and I think that's already saying enough. Just don't screw up OxygenOS OnePlus. If you enjoyed this video, you know which buttons to press, and don't forget to press that follow button on Twitter. I'm Brian, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.